we truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay. And then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first. And I'm sorry to say that. And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through the roof at levels never seen before, and our trade deficit reached a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. It was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live with that deal. It was the worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting tax on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made. As a result of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion.
Yard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people. Very kind.
ترامب قفرها.
You're not so kind when you get ripped off with these salaries by auto worker friends.
انت اللي كيقول كله كيهضر بيتكوين مازال ما شفتوش ولكن انا متاكد غيكون طايح.
They voted Democrat. They're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened.
ها اللي قلت.
But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that.
بيتكوين كان غادي طالع بخير وعلى خير ولكن تاثر عندنا خونا.
Want to do that? I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is a great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. So, if you look at that, China, first row. China, 67%. That's tariff charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you for the most part see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here, we didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less, so how can anybody be upset? They will be because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly, they rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like
قفرها
them.
قفرها مزيان
They
قفرها
charge us
مزيان
90%.
تي بيتكوين
We
كيهبط
charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're gonna end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually. They're coming in from Taiwan, and they're gonna build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're gonna charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left. He's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades. And it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China charging. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs. And they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand. And the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. Trade is not fair. He said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left on the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. We're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is 74%. So you see what's going on. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. So what we're doing is we're taking not the full, we could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing, all right? I think you better take it with you. It's not going to last very long. He's going to put it, it's going to follow you down with the wind. I brought a hat just in case it got too windy, but here, would anybody like a hat? I'm not giving it to a cabinet. I'm giving it to the auto workers. Come here. Thank you, fellas. Get it. That's it. That's it.
اوتو وركرز هذو الناس اللي خدامين في الطوموبيلات جاوبوا معرض عليهم
Our
زعما.
cabinet has plenty of hats. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart? And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity, and there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept. To any company that objects to our common sense reciprocal tariffs, again, reciprocal, back and forth, back and forth. And I call this kind reciprocal. This is not full reciprocal, this is kind reciprocal. But what we do is we cut it in half, we charge them. My answer is very simple if they complain. If you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America, because there is no tariff if you build your plant, your product in America. And we've seen companies coming in like we've never seen before. Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us. And start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm. And many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before. And it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward. And Brian,
ما يطيحش مازال البيتكوين ما يطيحش مازال بركة هنايا ما يطيحش مازال غيطلع.
It's already started.
تيسالي غنقول لك علاش يقدر يطلع أكثر.
Plants all around the country. You see that it's before
ما بقاش يطيح مازال.
Big rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build, build, build. We're going to build, 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 sir. And they came here to see me, and they wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We're going to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost no percentage. We used to have 100% of the chip market. Now it's all in Taiwan. Almost all of it's in Taiwan. A couple of other countries, but mostly in Taiwan. And think of it. We had 100%. We lost it because of people in that office that didn't do their job. They allowed it to be stolen from us. Johnson & Johnson, great company, $55 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Meta is investing $500 billion. Wow. DeMac is investing $20 billion. CMA, CGM, $20 billion. And then you have Merck and Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, GE Aerospace, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai are all putting in billions and billions of dollars, and they're committed 100% for it. And we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short, this all took place as soon as we came out with what everybody wanted to do. You know, I watched a gentleman today on television. He used to work with Lee Iacocca, a very respected automobile person, and he said, you know, because they're asking people, they try and get as many negative people as they can, but they can't find them too much. It's pretty hard to find in terms of what we're doing, especially when they see all this investment. They said, so tell me, what do you think of what Trump is doing from the automobile standpoint? He said, I can't believe it. Somebody is finally, he's an older guy, real pro, really top guy, with Lee Iacocca. He said, I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen, where somebody had the courage to go and do what has to be done. This is transforming our nation. Our entire nation is going to be transformed, not only with the cars, but in every single other item that's built. We're going to become an industrial powerhouse. And he said that so beautifully today. In fact, I'm going to find out, I'm going to get a tape, and Bruce, I'm going to get that tape, and I'm going to send it to you out in Long Island, and you're going to play it for the people. And all your union workers and your non-union workers out there, you got a pretty even split. But we have, so far, it looks like we're going to have about $6 trillion of investments, and you wouldn't do that in years in this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion, and that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people, people that you read about, very wealthy people, or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies, and to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before, with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but and they're going to fight. They're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away, and maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them. And then this is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to #1 in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, let's say in the first hour, and then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, oh no, don't do this. What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years. But because I saw it happen 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome. My old speeches, and that people would say, television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by
لو هادشي اللي كتبوا ليه في التليبرامتر ما كيقولوش كاع. هنايا هادشي اللي مكتوب هنا ما تيقول فيه والو. يهضر على راسو.
Such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term. Hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions. So much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big. The numbers were so big that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a very bad election. A lot of bad things happened. So when I said we're going to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate and to more importantly celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years. And the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half, we were there for 4 weeks. And the first week I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got it. They said eggs have gone up at like 250% and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything. And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it on the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot, and energy costs now are down, groceries are down, gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs. And it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad spending and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where the so sad to see even now. And I see our great secretary of you have done. Stand up, please, Christy. Stand up. Christy Noam and Tom Holman. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. and we put them
China
out, and we have judges now,
كدير
radical left judges that want to.
67
They don't want them to go out. They want them to even be
US
brought
غدير
back.
عليها
Let's bring them back.
34
You've done a fantastic job, and please thank
European Union
everybody.
كدير
Homeland
39
Security, thank
غدير
everybody.
عليها 20 فيتنام 90 غدير لها
And we now
46
have a border that's
Taiwan
the best
64
border
غدير على
that,
32
we've ever had, even better than
هذا
it
هما
was
التعريف.
my first term. My first term we did good, but this one we really
Japan
specialized. We've
24
done really well, and we had records
South
then. We had
Korea,
the
Thailand,
best,
25
safest border 4 years ago. We had the
Thailand,
best border there ever was, and
Indonesia
now we have. You've actually matched it, and
الإنجليز داروا 10
we're
10
going to get it down the right way. We
South
want people, by the way, to come into our
30,
country,
Brazil,
but we want them to come into a legal
Bangladesh,
process. We
Singapore,
want them to come in legally.
Israel,
We need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else. But we need people, the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in
المغرب شوف
legally. They have to have
المغرب
the
تا واش
capability
تاه
of loving our country.
10 10
not people
كتبان
that hate
لكم
our country. We don't want them in our country.
كتبان لكم
And now
موراكو
we're going to pass the
أيوة.
largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune. And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country. So I appreciate that at least.
موراكو 10 10
But Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike. John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our one big, beautiful bill. And I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big tax cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on the loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to pay for itself very quickly, that deduction. Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where did you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't, because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. And all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that it's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, John. Thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators. Oh boy, that's a nice group of people. But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group, and Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan is my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support, Mike. every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't.
يعني غيسالي غنقول لكم علاش وقيلا بلا ما تخلع بالعكس غادي يكون قضيه بخير. انا نقول لك علاش.
That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately. Get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country because if they don't, they got a big tax to pay. And if they do, I'll be very happy. And you're going to be very happy and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands, with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American pride like we used to. We're approaching our 100th day as president and have been given credit by a lot of people, actually, even some of the fake news. Can you believe it? Which in this case hopefully isn't fake. For having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing, in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people a day, young people, soldiers, Russian, think of that, 2,500 through some days, but on average probably over about a 1 week period it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers, they're dying, they're being decimated, and they're not from our country, but they're from other countries, but they're human beings, they're from Russia, they're from Ukraine in this period, most of them. And we're going to get it stopped. It's a senseless war that would have never happened if I was president, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It's going to be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right. This has turned out to be one of the most important days in the history of our country. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
صدعتينا. دابا هادشي كتشوف هذا هو البلان اللي بان لي انا القضيه ماشي هذيك، ولكن الحاجه اللي انا باقي شاد عليها الامل، وعلاش قلت لكم الدنيا هانيه، انا نشرحها لكم بلاتي نرجع هادي بلاصتها هنايا، واخرى تاهي نرجعها بلاصتها. فين هي هادي تاهي نرجعها بلاصتها باش ما نبقاش نقلب عليها. very important. باش نشوفوا داكشي كاملين محمد. هادي غادي بخير وعلى خير. مني دخلنا راه تزاد ب5%. مني دخلنا الواليت. اوكي الا كنتي نتايا يلاه دخلتيني انا داخل لي شحال هادي، حتى انا اصلا شحال هادي قلتها لكم. الا كنتي لا دخلت لي غادي يكون عند دخل لك الواليت ديالك واحد 5%. anyway علاش انا قلت لكم قبيله الدنيا هاني عاش كنت ما غيطيحش البيتكوين بزاف. علاش؟ لان خصك تعرف دابا اشنو طاري في المارشي. دابا هاد السوق هذا اللي كتشوف كامل فيه الروينه دابا غادي يخضر وغدا غادي يخضر. علاش؟ واحد ديسيبلين كاينه في التريدر. علاش؟ غنحاول ما نطولش عليكم بزاف باش نمشيو دغيا. واش المايك بعدا الميكرو خدام مزيان؟ شوف واش الميكرو خدام مزيان. الميكرو كاع ما خدام. شي الميكرو خدام ولا لا؟ سي خدام. انا اللي داير ميوت. سوري. الو الميكرو كاع ما خدام. يا خدام. انا اللي داير ميوت. دايرك تغنبدل الساتين. كنقول انا هادو كيشوفوني anyway. اشنو كيطرا؟ علاش دابا راه الدنيا هاني هادشي اللي كتشوف كله بخير وعلى خير. wait let's go back. باكيسيني شي حاجه تما. ويت بيزو كيسيني شي حاجه شناهي؟
By saying 50%, I think he's putting an invitation out there. Well, to me, saying the 50% is an invitation, a challenge to these countries, saying to them, if you want.
صافي كيسيني عاد هادشي اللي دار كيسيني عليه دابا. اللي بغيت نقول لكم هو هادشي اللي كتشوفوا الطريف اللي شفناه هنايا كيسيني عليه دابا. اللي بغينا نقولوا هو علاش كتشوف هادشي كامل. هاد الماركت كيكون بخير وعلى خير. علاش؟ لانه الناس تريدرز اللي ما كيبغيوش هو الشك. اما شي حاجه تكون خايبه ولا زوينه ماشي مشكل، المهم خصنا نعرفوها. اوكي واش دير؟ كيبان لي راسي كنبان مزيان. الو كنبان مزيان الكاميرا ياك كتبان مزيان. اوكي دونك التريدر الا كان كيعرف المارشي شنو هو فاين. كيف ما كان المارشي يكون مزيان طالع ولا هابط، المهم خصو يعرف اشنو كاين. الخايب هو الشك. اوكي الخايب هو الشك. اللي ما كيبغيش المارشي واللي ما كيبغيش التريد هو الشك. دابا الشك ما بقاش، دابا صافي عرفنا الطريف، وهاد الطريف اللي كاينين هنا ولاو دابا امبليمنتد بصح. اوكي هادو محطوطين ما كاينش فيهم اللعب، ما كاينش فيهم الشك، وغيبقاو 100%. اوكي ترامب غادي يخلي باباهم من دابا واحد عام ولا عامين غيبقاو، حيت راه داروا ذا سيم تين. ترى فاش كان جا الله المره الاولى، كان تحطوا طريف على الشينوا والناس ما عجبهمش الحال. الديمقراط يقول لك لا راه زدتي لنا على الشيء، زدتي على السلعه ديالنا ولينا حنا اللي كنخلصوها. وهذا الشيء نفس الشيء طرا في المره الاولى اللي عقلتو مزيان على ترامب في المره الاولى، ومن بعد دازت بخير وعلى خير. ومني جا بايدن ما حيدهاش هذيك الطريف، ما حيدهاش. كان بامكانه يحيدها ما حيدهاش. علاش؟ لانه جاتو مزيانه. فينالمون الناس ولاو تيقولوا مزيانه هذه القضيه. دونك هذا الطريف دابا كامل اللي دار بحال والو. من دابا حتى شويه العام الجاي يجي كاع شي بريزيدون من مثلا من الديمقراط وغيخليها وغيقول لك لا مزيانه. اوكي دونك دابا هذا الشيء اللي كنشوفوا، هاد الطريف اللي شفنا غادي يزيدوا شويه في الثمن وغادي يديروا داكشي اللي غيديروا. ولكن بالنسبه للتريدر صافي دارهم في دماغه. اتس دان. ما غتكون حتى شي حاجه اخرى من غير هذا الشيء. ربما غادي يكون تفاؤل. اشنو هو التفاؤل اللي غيكون؟ هو داكشي اللي قلت لك. غيقولوا مع راسهم بلاتي ترامب راه بخير وعلى خير بالنسبه للبيزنس. ترامب غينقص تاكسز. ترامب غينقص مثلا بالنسبه للاي ار اس، بالنسبه للبيزنس بيبل غينقص لهم التاكس، بالنسبه للناس غينقص لهم التاكس. غادي يدير بزاف ديال الحوايج زوينه للبيزنس. اوكي دونك الناس غيبداو يشوفوها بوزيتيف. هذه تقصيحه بحال ضربك شي واحد، الا ضربك شي واحد ولكن ما في الاول غتكون مخلوع لانه باقي واقف قدامك، يقدر يضرب عاوتاني غتكون مخلوع. عادي جدا. ايماجين شي واحد صحيح قدامك كيضرب الضربه الاولى غتوعدش، ولكن غتخلع عاوتاني واخا ما ضربكش. علاش؟ لان باقي واقف. منين يقدر يضرب عاوتاني ويقدر يضربك الضربه قاضيه، يقدر يقتلك. ولكن هذاك السيد شتي شد التران ومشى ولا شد الطياره ومشى لفيتنام، راه كتقول مع راسك صافي تخينا سي فيني تهنيت منه، ما غاديش يبقى يضربني. صافي الضربه انا صافي تقسحت اسفان، هاهي بدات كتبرا وما غاديش يضرب ضربه اخرى. هادشي اللي طاري مع ترامب دابا. هادشي اللي ضربناه ضربه بوم العين صافي طاح البيتكوين. ولكن اتس اوكي. علاش؟ انا عارفين ترامب واخا هكاك غادي يجيب حوايج زوينين اخرين، غادي يدير التاكسز وغادي يدير التاكس مزيانه مهمه وفي يديه هو يديرها محدها. الكونغرس والسينا في يديه غادي يدير حوايج زوينين ان شاء الله. وهاد الحوايج اللي غيدير زوينين غيزيدوا يطلعوا الماركت. وعقل على مزيان، انا قلتها وعاودتها. هادشي اللي كتشوف الماركت غيطلع. هادشي اللي كتشوف انا متاكد محالش رانا نديرو بحال صحاب الكمانجه، محالش البيتكوين يفوت هاد الدرجه بعد 84 ما يفوتهاش، ما نظنش. سوري عفست عليها. اوكي انا ما نظنش يفوت 84، يفوتها زعما ينزل لتحت، غادي يطرطا تاعيا وغادي يعاود يطلع. اوكي علاش؟ لان صافي تهنينا، تفكينا، ارتاحينا، ما كاين حتى شي حاجه اللي شاكين فيها مازال حتى حاجه. هذوك الدول الاخرى ما غاتمشي حتى غتنقص، ما غاديش تزيد، لانه هما ديجا دايرين التعريف فايت. اوكي هذاك الشيء اللي غدير كندا، مع كندا ما عندها ما دير، الا ما نقصاش ما تزيدش. اوكي وصافي، وغدوز القضيه بخير وعلى خير، والناس غينساو وكل شيء بخير. بغيتي نشوفوا هذا ديال كندا اش غيقول. لا هذه الصباح، هذاك ديال كالغاري ولا مات ديال كندا قال بانه راه زعما كندا معوله تنقص كل شيء. المهم هادشي ماشي مشكل، انا ظنيت ما غيكون حتى مشكل، وان شاء الله مازال البيتكوين يطلع وما غاديش يهبط اكثر من هكا. علاش؟ لانه الضربه صافي دازت، صافي تقسيحه تقسحنا، ما عنده فين يمشي مازال. خاطر كاين شي خواف مثلا الله ساق اخبار ولا شي حاجه يقدر يبيع، ما عندك لاش تبيع، ان شاء الله مازال غيرجع لهنا وغيطلع حتى لهنا. اوكي كون جا وقال شي حاجه بوزيتيف كنا غنضربوا واحد التريد مخير ساعه، دوماج فلت، ولكن مازال ان شاء الله غادي يجي. انا متاكد غادي يجي شي حاجه احسن من هكا فيري سون ان شاء الله. اوكي هادشي ما كاين، هادشي اللي بغيت نقول لكم. ولا عندكم شي سؤال، اللي عنده شي سؤال يحطو. كاين شي سؤال بالنسبه للسولانا وداكشي الاخر؟ ما ديما نقول لك انايا سولانا ما كتخضعش لهاد الشيء ديال الطريف وهاد الشيء، تابعها الماركت وصافي. بآية وراك يطلع وغيزيد يطلع مازال. اوكي مهم بزاف. هايبر ليكويد تا هو بخير وعلى خير، واخا هبط شي شويه. اوكي نشوفوا الواليت ديالنا بالنسبه للاخرين كيفاش دايره. الواليت ديالنا هبطات شي شويه، شتي الواليت ديالنا هبطات شويه. نشوفوا هاد البارتي هادي اللي فاتحين بها الدنيا هنايا. باندل طالع حتى هو. الماركت دابا مسدود، واخا هكاك هادشي اللي كتشوف راه ما غيتغيرش، مازال ان شاء الله يكون خير. البي تي سي مازال غيطلع انا متاكد. الناس غيتقسعوا داكشي اللي غيتقسح، ولكن غيقولوا مع راسهم صافي سال الفيلم فينيش، ما بقاتش. هاهي داروها ديك جديده، داروها جديده. اوكي Trump slap big reciprocal tariffs on countries around the world، العالم كامل. اوكي والمغرب حتى هو. اوكي لكن المغرب ماشي 10 ماشي مشكل. اوكي which is good. اوكي دونك انا ظنيت انا ما بقات حتى شي حاجه مازال اللي غضرنا. انا متاكد البيتكوين غيبقى بخير وعلى خير، ما عندو فين يمشي. هاد الهبطات اللي كيهبط دابا راه غير الناس اللي كيتخلعوا، ولا ربما يلا كيسمعوا الاخبار ولا كيشوفوا تويتر ولا شي حاجه كيقولوا مع راسهم عام الله شنو طاري. انا كنظن ما كاين حتى مشكل، كلشي بخير. هو ليبريشن داي ريسيبروكال تاريفز دايره، نديروا لها ندير ريتويت باش ما نبقاش باش ما نساوهاش. اوكي هذه مهمه. ترامب ريسيبروكال تاريفز كمبوديا 49 واو. سريلانكا هذا كاتبهم كاملين الدول. تونيزيا 28. المهم انا كيبان ليا بخير وعلى خير، ما زعما ما عندناش علاش نتقلقوا ولا شي حاجه. فاين هادشي ماشي شي حاجه كبيره بزاف. انا ظنيت هذا هو جاك دورسي بيتكوين فيلز باي بين irrelevant. كلشي دارهم، كلشي دار طاريفس. قلنا في الله ايلون ماسك تسالى الفيلم غادي يخرج من ما يبقاش من لادمينستراسيون، ما يبقاش في راه ولا كيدير تسلا بزاف، لانه قالوا لي صحاب تسلا غيجريو عليه، غيحيدوه من سي او الا ما جمعش راسو. ها هو بدا كيجمع راسو دابا، ولا كيهضر على تسلا النهار كله. لاحظتوها النهار كله هو كيدير تويت على قبل تسلا. تخلع عليه، يجريو عليه من تسلا. يجريو عليه البارتنر، لانه واحد الناس حاطين فلوس اكثر منه، غيقولوا ليه يلا تسالى الفيلم، اما غتسد فمك اما غتحيد، وإلا حيدوه من تسلا غيتفقس. اوكي دابا النهار كله هو كيهضر على تسلا، ماشي غير النهار، البارح واليوم 24/7 كيهضر على تسلا. ستوك ماركت جامب فروم 45 ماشي بزاف كاع. اوكي ان شاء الله بحول الله نتمنى على الله يكون بخير. هادشي اللي كاين. شوفوا هادي شناهي فلتناها.
With respect to imports from the People's Republic. Good afternoon, y'all. We have two documents prepared for the President's signature today. One closes what's referred to as the de minimis loophole with respect to imports from the People's Republic of China. The other is the big one, is the reciprocal tariff executive order that the President just spoke about at length. This is obviously a huge deal, and it's been an honor to be a part of your team getting this ready for you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, sir. This is a big step. That's a 10. It's a good one. Look. That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to hand out these pens now if I can.
المهم صافي، هيا كندا ومكسيكو تحيدوا، ما دار لهم حتى حاجه، لا كندا لا مكسيكو، لانهم مهمين، هادو مهمين بزاف، كيدير معاهم بزاف ديال البيزنس. ما دار معاهم والو، زيرو، ما كاين لا طريف لا والو. غنشوفوا شنو غيطرا غدا. هذا خبر زوين بالنسبه للماركت، وغنشوفوا شنو غيطرا غدا الرياكشن. انا متاكد ما غيطرا والو، لانه بالنسبه للبيزنس بيبل راه لا بليبار غادي يعجبهم هاد القضيه. بالنسبه لكندا مزيانه اليوم، ما دار لهم لا طريف لا والو، which is good. I don't know what she's waiting for. ربما حيدوا الطريف ديالهم وهو تا هو حيد، ولا مكسيكو عام الله شنو دار معاهم. المهم هاد الجوج مهمين. نشوفوا عاوتاني بيتكوين خدام كيهبط مازال. انا ما نظنش يفوت، غيوصل 84، ولكن توصل ماكسيموم يوصل هاد المرحله 84 ويعاود يطلع. ما يمكنش يفوت اكثر من هكا، ما نظنش. ما عندولاش يهبط اكثر، لانه كيف قلت لكم حنا عرفنا شنو طاري وتسالى الفيلم. دابا ما بقات حتى شي حاجه اللي غريبه علينا بالنسبه لينا حنايا، صافي عرفنا اشنو طاري. دونك اتس nothing is new here. اوكي alright then that's it. هادشي اللي كاين. ما كاين لا طريف لا على كندا لا على مكسيكو. الشينوا ودوك البلدان الاخرين ماشي مشكل. الشينوا كانت من شحال هادي، الجابون تا هي وداك الشيء دنياني ماشي مشكل، اوروبا تا هي ماشي مشكل. ربما خايبه بالنسبه للبيزنس في امريكا، ولكن هاي وي ويل سي واتس كانا هابن. اي ام شور ان هاد الهبطه اللي غتهبط واقيلا غير فيك اوت ديرها لك بالعاني. صحاب دابا شي وحدين دابا الويلز بالعاني يديروا لكم هاد القضيه بالعاني باش تمشي تبيع ويخليوك تبيع ويزيدوا يطلعوا. دونك ما تبيعش، انا نقول لك من هنا ما تبيعش. ان شاء الله بحول الله مازال غيطلع. اوكي alright يلا، hasta la vista، باي باي. شكرا لكم جميعا، تبا للفقر.